Hello and welcome to the Teammate analysis of Airborne Express in the express mail industry. In order to understand Airborne Express's position in the express mail industry, I feel it's important to understand how and why the express mail industry structure evolved in recent years, as well as how these changes affected small competitors. Prior to FedEx, express mail was collected from customers by freight forwarders, consolidated and shipped primarily as freight holds in passenger planes, and delivered to final destinations. The express mail industry was virtually invented by FedEx in 1973, which transformed the industry to a hub-and-spoke model, allowing for overnight and expedited delivery of packages. Due to demand for faster deliveries, FedEx and UPS increased their operations with more manpower and equipment to quickly sort packages en route to their destination using round-the-clock teams. They took advantage of new technology using scanners and computers, giving them the ability to track packages, plan routes and logistics, and monitor weather, providing a reliable service backbone which customers could count on. Increased competition caused major carriers to match pricing, products, and customer support. There was also a shift in pricing structure as it changed from one flat price to distance-based pricing. Services were added such as same-day delivery, next-day morning delivery, and next-day afternoon delivery. Instead of competing with the big three that serviced up to 85% of the US market, small competitors chose to focus on niche markets that weren't part of the FedEx and UPS strategy. Several companies like DHL and TNT focused on the international market with a very small US presence, while Bax Global focused on heavy cargo and RPS focused on two-day ground delivery for the more price-sensitive business customers. Using Porter's Five Forces model, we conducted an industry analysis of the express mail industry. Competitive rivalry was very high due to existing players, which were made up of three major companies: FedEx, UPS, and Airborne Express, and six smaller companies: DHL, TNT, Bax, Emery Worldwide, RPS, and USPS. Among the competitors, prices and services were similar. Companies had high fixed costs and low margins, while switching costs were low for customers. As one observer said, customers don't have any loyalty when a contract comes up. Threat of new entry was low due to the high capital investment required to enter the market. Incumbency, recognized brands, market saturation, and established economies of scale within the express mail industry were also deterrents to entry into the market. Supplier power was high due to the costs associated with airport fees, fuel costs, pilot and driver unions, as well as the high degree of competition in the industry. Buyer power was high due to multiple suppliers, standard products and services, low switching costs, and price sensitivity among customers. Additionally, volume discounts, minimal brand loyalty, low margins, and the reality that shipping was a fraction of the budget for many customers, giving them the opportunity to shop different carriers, gave buyers power over express mail companies. Threat of substitution was high due to low switching costs, similar quality and prices, and other services such as USPS, fax, and email, which essentially had a marginal cost of $0. So how has Airborne survived and prospered in this industry? Airborne Express was created from two separate specialty air freight carriers, the Airborne Flower Traffic Association and Pacific Air Freight. The company targeted customers who regularly shipped high volumes of urgent items like Xerox and focused on the B2B market. They established their position in the market and chose customers whose needs were met by Airborne strengths, intentionally ignoring residential deliveries and infrequent shippers. Airborne owned the airport, which served as its major hub, and avoided the associated airport fees. By owning the airport, they were able to customize the property and facility to their own needs. They also took advantage of lower taxes through the airport's status as a community reinvestment act zone. They built stock exchange warehouses on the airport grounds, which they leased to business customers, providing additional services as well as additional revenue to the company. They patented cargo containers that would fit through standard commercial airline doors, requiring no modification to load the aircraft, and they ran refurbished airplanes at 80% capacity where other providers were running at 65 to 70%, lowering costs while increasing revenues. Their volume consisted of afternoon and second day deliveries, so up to 30% of their packages never saw the inside of an airplane. The cost of using trucks was only a third of the cost of using an airplane. Unlike FedEx, Airborne did not have retail centers and chose to have drop-off points instead. They also had the majority of their packages, about 60 to 65%, handled by third-party contractors, which was 10% less than company-owned delivery and pickup. Airborne was selective in the technology they chose to implement, which helped them achieve lower costs as well. One Airborne manager was quoted as saying, "Let them try the new stuff and see what works. We won't introduce new technology unless there's a clear derived benefit for our customer." Airborne was very good at tailoring their product to the specific business needs of their customers. For instance, they created special sort codes for Xerox packages so that they could be delivered first. In order to understand Airborne's success and quantify their source of competitive advantage, we estimated the relative cost structure of shipping an overnight letter using FedEx and Airborne services. By focusing on metro routes as opposed to rural routes, it was estimated that Airborne was able to reduce labor for pickup by 20% over other players in the industry and delivery pickup by 10%. Their use of independent contractors for pickup and delivery also allowed them to reduce costs associated with ground vehicles by another 10%. Additionally, their long-haul transport costs were about 15% lower than FedEx. Airborne was frugal when it came to advertising and information technology. They used no mass media advertising and focused on using logistics managers to promote their services to existing and prospective clients. Additionally, they were selective in their use of technology, adopting a policy of wait and see before implementing new technology into their operations. They chose not to open retail stores and used call centers for customer service, keeping those costs 5% lower than the industry. And their frugal approach led to overhead costs, which were about 10% lower than FedEx. This set of activities made it possible for Airborne's supplier opportunity costs to be lower than FedEx's, creating a clear competitive advantage for the firm, resulting in a 22% higher margin when comparing to FedEx. Although Airborne has a clear competitive advantage over FedEx, we feel it's important to shore up and strengthen the company's position. So what must Airborne's president and CEO, Robert Brazier, do in order to strengthen the company's position? First, we feel it's key for Airborne to firm up the partnership with RPS in order to have a major presence, ground presence in the market. This could be accomplished through a stronger alliance or a merger with RPS. This partnership would allow Airborne the use of RPS's technology in order to have the ability to track packages and information related to shipping logistics. This would also allow Airborne to obtain a portion of FedEx and UPS price-sensitive business customers with its ground transport services while still focusing on their target customer. We also see an advantage for Airborne in adopting distance-based pricing as this model is becoming standard in the industry. Expansion overseas through partnerships while still focusing on targeting specific customers would also help to improve revenues and build a brand name. So in conclusion, we'll take a look at a couple of reasons why FedEx or UPS haven't trampled on Airborne with their larger size, and explain Airborne's unique set of activity choices and why competitors haven't replicated it. Airborne's success, we feel, was a direct result of the position they chose in the market. They maintained discipline and consistency in their market position and were selective about the customers they served. They knew they couldn't be all things to all people and picked their customer deliberately, which consisted of customers shipping large volume, urgent items, and focused on their B2B relationships. Just as FedEx and UPS chose their target markets and became the dominant brands in their segment, Airborne became the brand that large corporations like Xerox, Compaq, and Nike came to know and trust in this market. Their focus on frugality kept their supplier opportunity costs lower than the competition, which created a clear competitive advantage for the company. They also held to their strategy and deliberately chose to not go after the more infrequent shippers, consisting of smaller companies and residential customers, which was a large portion of both the FedEx and the UPS market. So in conclusion, I want to thank you for your time and attention to this week's analysis by Team 8, and we look forward to your feedback.